going to take a look at the performance benchmarks for Satisfactory on CachyOS. Right now it's looking at like there's 20% CPU usage at 65 degrees Celsius with 4.6 megahertz, 4.6 gigahertz for the speed. GPU sitting around 99 to 100% at 59 degrees Celsius, 3.2 gigahertz for the speed on the GPU. VRAM looks like it's at 4.9 gigabytes at a little over 1.2 gigahertz for the speed. RAM is sitting at 13.3 gigabytes. FPS is at 177 with 5.6 milliseconds of latency. We're sitting at, let's see, specs wise, we're at 3072 by 1667 for the resolution. It's windowed mode, ultra. Max FPS, I can turn it down to, let's say, 120. To stabilize it a bit better. We don't really need more than that. As you can see, it dropped once I capped the FPS. I'm running a Ryzen 5950X, an AMD RX 9070 XT, 64 gigabytes of DDR4 memory. This game is running smooth. It's running a little smoother than Windows 11. However, Windows 11 is still pretty good on it. I don't see any problems, as you can see. Reaction time is perfect. I'm actually liking how gaming is getting back to fluid performance. Now this could change as I don't really have anything built up. And the more your factories grow, the more performance takes a hit. So with this, it's more consistency. Like you watch to see if how much things bounce around. For example, if I look up versus over here, as you can see, the GPU takes the heavier hit based on where I look. It just means the more things are rendering in certain areas versus others. And if the CPU increases, then it's more CPU intensive. If the GPU increases, it's more GPU intensive. I don't see any issues. I don't see anything that's too out of the ordinary. As you can see, there's a creature flying, and that's why my GPU is increasing, and CPU as well, because it has to calculate both graphically and CPU data calculations. As you can see, if I keep watching it, it'll go hover in the 80s. I look away, and it drops down to 80% roughly. So just right there, that's a factor. So keep that in mind when you're playing a game. We're going to be looking at how Satisfactory works with Windows 11. I'm currently running a Ryzen 5950X and RX 9070 XT, 64 gigabytes of DDR4 memory. The FPS draw is going into the DWM. The DWM is Windows's compositor slash scheduler. FPS on screen is after it comes out of the Windows DWM. Now we're going to be looking at this. It's in 4K. We're using Windows DirectX 12 custom graphics presets. It's mostly on high. There's one medium. It's set to slightly maximize performance with keeping quality. Now we're going to see how this performs. As you can see, I'm running my CPU temperature at 78 to 83 degrees Celsius, 20 to 26% CPU usage. GPU temperature is at 61 Celsius, 76 to 85% for the GPU. VRAM is a constant. It's hovering around 55,950 megabytes. It's hovering around. RAM is hovering around 22,230 megabytes, which is 22.3 gigabytes. FPS raw is hovering at 121. The FPS on screen is bouncing between 100 and 121. Latency is around 22. It shows 0 at times, but that's because it's having trouble reading at times. As you can see, this is pretty good, but it does add extra frames to help get that number. As you can see, it's fluid on Windows, but you can see the discrepancy of before it goes into the scheduler slash compositor on Windows versus when it comes out. You lose about 6 frames roughly. Now I have a pretty good computer. It's not modern day top of the line, but it's still high end. As you can see, it feels smooth. Windows has improved on performance since I last made videos showing the differences. However, Linux, at least CachyOS, has slightly beaten Windows 11. Which isn't a bad thing, because if Windows stays on their toes, they'll actually keep their OS good for gamers instead of trying to make it pure AI. I hope they just, for AI, I just hope they limit what's mandatory and allow people to install optional AI stuff to keep the bloat from Windows down. Because at the end of the day, it's for better gaming experience. And these numbers aren't bad. They're actually better than when I last tried testing this. But I held off because I wanted to give a chance for Microsoft to fix their issues. And this is just to compare Windows with CachyOS. I might add other OSs later. But as you can see, it's running smooth. The numbers are on the screen. GPU percent is in the mid 90s now, so I'm getting very good use of my graphics card. And that's it for the Windows side. I'm going to go record CachyOS side and fuse the videos together and post a combined video showing both the OSs for this game.